up? It's Joe Ready from Ready's Rise. I'm back here at Tampa Honda, and a lot of you, ever since we showed our first hybrid on Ready's Rise, that Honda Clarity, a lot of you have been asking for this car, so you ask and we deliver. This is a 2019 Honda Insight. Now what's interesting is that the Insight has actually been around since 1999. That was that funky little two-door, two-seater with the wheel covers on the rear, and it was really revolutionary at the time with trying to get maximum MPGs and projecting what the future was going to be like. Sitting here though, this Insight has that great technology, that hybrid technology with a conventional gasoline internal combustion engine and some electric motors to give you maximum MPGs. And what's great about this 2019 Insight, it looks like a car. It doesn't look like some weird science project rolling down the road from the future. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into this 2019 Insight because they really hit the nail on the head with car styling. So I really like what they've done with the headlight design, very futuristic, very angular, and it also kind of matches with the whole Honda lineup. As you come across, you have this very wide chrome grille area, and then you have a mixture of some gloss and some flat black up here up top, and then down here on the bottom you have the flat black color. Now in the corners you're going to get these fog lamps down here. On this side, it's not functional. This is going to get a zonk. This grille area is not functional, but the great news is it's not too big, and I like the way that it's flat black instead of gloss. If you come over to this end of the business, you'll notice that this is functional, and that's going to help cool those electric motors that are within the Insight to help get it that extra power and get the fuel savings. Now, what's great about this car, it looks very similar to a Civic. It actually has the same wheelbase as a Civic. You'll notice on the hood, distinctive body lines to give it a little bit of character. Also, the front fascia is much more aerodynamic than a Honda Civic. Normally, this portion is going to be flat and not be as aerodynamic looking in appearance. But what they did was they took it from here and flattened it out to make this cheat the wind, because that's really the goal of a hybrid, is to cheat wind. But the great news is Honda's giving you a car that looks like a car and it's still getting the job done. As we come around the corner, I like the way they kind of extend out the headlight housing. Really gives it a distinctive look. Wheels, I'm gonna zonk it, they're not attractive, but these are functional. The design of this wheel is to cut through air and make it more sleek, and also help get air behind the wheel to cool the brakes. Color, nothing to write home about. You have some brushed aluminum. So when it comes to wheels, I'm not really loving it, but I understand it is a hybrid, as the badge says, so that kind of comes with the territory. As we go into the greenhouse area, you can see the very sleek side mirrors, little bit of chrome trim. You got a very slim LED, and then of course we got that corner camera. When you're driving and you turn on that right turn signal, it's going to allow you to see on the infotainment screen what's hiding on the right side of the car. Nice that they give you a sunroof with the car. Like the lines, like the use of the chrome on the door handles and around the windows. It really makes it a cohesive look. Now, one thing I also feel smart is you could see the aerodynamic body lines that they put into the side of the car. Nothing obnoxious, guys. It looks like a Civic. As we go back, rear quarter window, I think it's smart. You see how this material around the window is extended? Really gives it a nice cut back look. You have your nice slanted glass, but it's not too bad. And then to wrap it out back, very tasteful LED lighting, something a little different than what you're gonna find on a Civic. It's gonna tie in that chrome on the bottom. Very nice. I think that actually this taillight design they need to put on some of their other cars like the Honda Accord. It looks good back here. Hybrid, just to remind you what you're driving. This is that touring level of options, so we'll get to that in a second when we get on the inside, but just very clean out the back of this car, and I think you're going to be surprised not only with the outside when you see this thing in person, but also on the inside. But let's go ahead and get underneath the hood of this Insight. All right guys, we got the hood popped on the 2019 Insight. There's some of the magic going on. So you have that internal combustion engine, and then you have your electric motors. So what you're looking at if you've never seen under the hood of one of these and your eyes are getting a little crossed, that's a 1.5 liter inline 4 gasoline engine, pumps out 107 horsepower, 99 foot-pounds of torque. This has electric motor that's going to produce 129 horsepower, 197 foot-pounds of torque. Now what's interesting is that there is technically no gearbox in this car. It's a direct drive system, just like the Clarity. The car weighs about 3,000 pounds. 0 to 60, you're looking around 8.8 seconds, the quarter mile in 17 seconds, and a top speed of 114 miles an hour. Now, if you're wondering about MPGs, here's where you get what you've been wanting when you go hybrid. 51 miles to the gallon in the city, 47 on the highway. That's going to maximize where you're going and how much fuel you're putting into this car. It also has that regenerative braking, which is very similar to the system used in the Clarity car. So that is another nice feature that we'll get to in the inside. But let's go ahead and fire it up. Shame on you guys. Come on, you failed the test. There's no sound out of this because it is a hybrid and it's just sitting here in the parking lot. So if I start it up, you're just gonna hear nothing. So that's what you get. Let's go ahead and check out the interior. All right guys, we're inside the 2019 Honda Insight. If you're wondering, well Joe, how much does it cost to save some money by having a hybrid? You're looking at the way that this touring one is optioned, $29,000. Let's talk about what you get. Check out the doors. I think it was very smart to break up the sea of dark black with some of that lighter faux leather material on the back portion of the door. Top portion of the door is nice and soft. You have a silver door handle there. And then you also have that faux leather on the armrest. I'm gonna zonk the armrest because guess what? It's as hard as a rock. So if you're looking for a nice soft place to rest your elbow after a hard day of work, it ain't happening there. You better bring a pillow with you. Though, as we transition from the door onto the dash, I like the soft material. I like the way they brought this silver trim piece from far right all the way to the left here. That same leather, and I like the way that the faux leather comes down into a nice waterfall. Love the stitching. Visibility is great. You have an 8-inch infotainment screen here with navigation. We got the good old radio knob back, which a lot of people were complaining about. Of course, you're going to have Bluetooth. Of course, you're going to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's showing some great features when it comes to what your range is and the charging and all that great stuff. Here is your power button. So it doesn't say engine start stop. In the inside, it says power on or power off. You do get dual climate control, which is really nice. And then the push button setup that you find in some of the other Honda products makes this whole area much cleaner than before. You have a great slot here for a cell phone because you got 2 USBs and a 12 volt. Here you could go through your eco mode, or yes, this thing has sport, if you could believe it or not. It does increase sensitivity from the gas pedal and the steering, but I like the way everything is easily accessible. Very similar to a Honda Civic, this whole area, you have the sliding cup holder, so if you have a big gulp, you could put your super big gulp down there or your super Slurpee and have plenty of space. This little guy flips up and you have a nice little sliding tray here, but once again, hard as a rock. I might as well rest my elbow on one of these parking curbs because that's what it's going to feel like. Seats. Love the material. I love the support. They're soft enough and they're firm enough all at the same time. The bottom portion is nice and wide. I like the way they went perforated, and I like this design that they put into the middle that follows up onto the back. It gives the seat some personality. Also, another thing is you're going to get nice, light, airy feel, not only from the sunroof, but also from the lighter material on the A-pillars and also on the headliner. Really brightens up the interior, especially when you get over to this area, which we know is the business end. Come on over and I'll show you what's going on in the business end. All right, guys, business end, as you can see, full electric for the driver here, which is really, really nice. I also really like the seating position. Once you get it perfect for you, plenty of headroom. I'm 6 feet tall, so I have plenty of headroom. Love the steering wheel. This steering wheel seems like it should be on something a lot different type of car than a hybrid. I like the design. I like the crisscross contrast stitching. I also like this. This is what I'm talking about, everybody. The thumb drive. Just like on the Honda Accord, they need to put this little sucker in all of the Hondas. You do have the paddles on the back of the wheel. Now you're probably wondering, well, Joe, you said this doesn't have gears. You were right and you were listening, so A+ for you, gold star. What this is for that regenerative braking. So as you brake, you could actually help along that process by not only helping you brake, but also recharging that battery. Check out the dash. I really, really like the dash setup in here. Very clear. You have a digital display on the left that's showing you your power. You got digital fuel gauge. It also has an analog speedometer. Very easy to see, very easy to scroll through. You could see how I changed the needle there and got rid of the menu. Or I could go back and see, you could go through all these different things from that little command center where normally a tachometer would sit. This car, you don't need a tachometer, it's direct drive, so it's not like you're revving it out and then shifting. But just, I would probably say my favorite part in this driver's seat is the steering wheel. I really like the steering wheel. And then of course, I think it's smart that Honda puts in a lot of their touring level trim models. The frameless mirror cleans up that whole big area, because if this didn't have that, it'd be too much, you know, bulky mirror in your face. So I really like that setup. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat. All right, guys, back seat time of the Honda Insight. Very similar to the Honda Civic, sitting on the same wheelbase and everything. Room is quite surprising back here. My head is not hitting the ceiling, even though it's a very low sloping roof. Plenty of space. You can see how Honda wraps the whole seat in leather. I like the way there's a little notched out area to give you just a little extra leg room. My only gripe is that at this trim level touring for $30,000, I would like to see some USB ports back here, especially if this car is about tech. A lot of technology driving this car. Where's the USB? Seats, I like the way they're angled back and they're quite comfortable. The only problem is just like the people up front, the people in the back get the hardest armrests in God's creation. So not really loving that. When it comes to your other arm though back here, folding down the armrest is quite easy, and this is soft. This is as soft as can be. Why can't they make that armrest as soft as this one? I like the way the cup holders are horizontal and not vertical, and it's really easy to just get out of the way. Let's go ahead and see if we could put anything in the trunk of this Insight. All right, guys, time to get into the trunk of the Honda Insight. What's really interesting about hybrids, there once was upon a time that you had to sacrifice a lot of trunk space, but you could see once the trunk is open, pretty good size opening, and you do have a folding rear seat. So that's a really nice thing. It's not a 60/40, which I would like to see a 60/40, but it is just one solid. A lot of it has to do with where they're placing the battery in the back of this Honda Insight. But it's just nice to see that, hey, you got a workable trunk in a car that looks like a car. Plus, you're gonna get maximum MPGs. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and take this one for a spin. All right, guys, we're rolled out of Tampa Honda. We're in the 2019 Insight. And right off the bat, you just notice how quiet it is as we are running off of electric power. Very smooth. Remember, you have that direct drive system in here, so there isn't any gears to go through whatsoever. But overall, it feels a lot just like the Honda Civic lineup. I feel like I'm in a Honda Civic sedan, and you know what? That's a good thing, because that really has been that one thing for these types of hybrid vehicles, is just how funky they look and how they look like a rolling science laboratory. This one looks just like a car, as it should. But turning in feels very, very good. I'm gonna go ahead and get on the throttle. So remember, once you floor it, you're gonna get those electric motors and the gas engine kicks in. You do use the paddles for the regenerative braking. That's gonna help charge those batteries, but without the gas engine, you can hear it there a little bit as it kicks on. Other than that, it's very, very quiet and very, very smooth. And that's the one thing you'll notice, is even when you get on it, because there's no gearbox, what to speak, so to speak of, that it is going to be very, very smooth as you go through the power delivery. You can see on the infotainment screen right now, I have it showing us how the batteries are charging and what our range is and all that good stuff. So that is kind of neat for people that are into hybrid vehicles, that maybe want to see those extra tech features and whatnot. This area is so clean without having a shifter, so to speak of. It's all that push button functionality to it. Really cleans up the center console area. Visibility is great in here. We got the sunroof open as you ride along with us. But just overall, very car-like driving experience. Rolling away just on electric motors. And then once you floor it, then it goes. Very smooth, even over this ripped up piece of road here. Quiet on the inside. The hood is very low, so visibility is perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and use the paddles. I'll show you. You hit the left one, that's gonna slow you down. And that's gonna help, you see how we're green? That's gonna help with the charging to do that regenerative braking. So that's really nice extra feature that you could do as you're driving to maximize your range. Just overall a very smooth driving car, something that is going to get you those maximum MPGs. I mean, 54 miles per gallon is nothing to laugh about. That is for sure. All right, guys, as we go through this roundabout, very smooth. I think my favorite part is the steering wheel. I really, really like the steering wheel in this car. It's got a great thickness, and it's a good-looking steering wheel. I like to look at those extra kinds of designs. I also like the way they went light material on this middle portion of the dash. Really brightens up the interior because there's a lot of black up here. But I do like the way the dash is very flat and very low, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. Brake feedback is really, really good. Steering surprisingly has a great feel to it. It actually feels a little bit more weighted than the Civic sedan, believe it or not. And I actually like that. I like a steering wheel that has a little bit more weight to it. It makes me really feel like I'm connected to those front wheels. But it's just nice in today's market to have different options. Remember, they do have the Honda Clarity like we reviewed on Rady's Rides. I'll have that link at the end of this video where you could go full electric if you want, electric plug-in. This being a traditional hybrid is on the more common side of things, but I think what's not so common is that it looks good overall. It looks like a regular car. All right, guys, it's been another wonderful day here at Tampa Honda. Definitely got to give a huge thank you to Christian and everybody at the dealership. Open up the doors. If these are the types of cars you like to see on Rady's Rides, leave a comment in that comment section. If you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you. Thank you for being part of the Rady's Rides family. If you haven't checked out my different forms of social media, check those all out. You know what they're called. It's all Rady's Rides, original content all the time. If you want to get yourself some merch, click that link in the description. It takes you right to Spreadshirt. And then, of course, we need to acknowledge the man of the millennium, Tom Mosher, not only working this camera, but guess what? He's got his own camera where he takes some beautiful still photos. Go ahead and check him out on Instagram. His handle is Mosh Photos. I will put that in this video. Go to Instagram and check out just what is he capturing with those muscles of his. So thank you, Tom, for all your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.